Hey guys, I'm gonna try and build a survey builder under 1 hour because it's getting late. I already built the front end feature as I always like to do, and then move it on the admin dashboard for managing the actual builder and see the results, analytics, and so on. So a quick demo of the product that I built today is this new page. I call it roadmap because the previous roadmap only showed the current GitHub issues. And this is not actually truly useful. I need like a general roadmap. And for that, I thought of building a survey, asking my users what do they want for SaasRock 2.0, or not even my users, but prospects that want to get into SaasRock or Remix and use SaasRock as the SaaS boilerplate and have their opinion shape the future of SaasRock. Like, for example, which edition are you using? Do you prefer Prisma, which is currently the only ORM supported, or move to Drizzle, like migrate to Drizzle, or add Drizzle but keep Prisma, like with a repository pattern. Also, I want to know if there is enough interest to implement like a new edition on another framework like Next, SvelteKit, Nuxt, or even Astro, or other that you want to see. Of course, this will take me like a minimum of 3 months per framework, but I want to see if there is enough interest, and whether you want to see the Prisma schema on one model. I mean, keep all the modules on one schema, or one schema per domain, because they recently released this preview feature called Prisma schema folders. Yeah, Prisma schema folder that allows you to create multiple .schema files. So what are we going to do is implement this so I can actually go to admin and put it somewhere here. I guess it should be on help desk, I think. So maybe here, and have a sidebar for surveys. So before doing that, let me show you the actual code. I kept everything under one file. So I have my DTOs, like for the survey, the actual survey, the survey item, which is the actual question, but maybe in the future, a survey item is not only a question, but like an input text. And then the survey item result, like for example, for this survey item, here are the selected values, because each survey item can be multiple or not. Is multiple, and if it is, it will have multiple values, like this one. Where is it? Like on the email provider, I have if you want to keep postmark, but also add recent or add another one. But this is only one field to select. So you have this property called is multiple for that. Now, these are the 3 DTOs, and then I have my survey DTO, which is like my fake database array, where I create manually the created ad, title, slug of the actual survey, the description, whether it's enabled or not, because if I disable this, now I will have this voting is closed, and this will be disabled, so they cannot actually submit more entries. Now the items are the questions, like for example your SaasRock edition, random description here, and here is random description. So we also have categories, like this could be a category user, I guess, or session. I'm not sure. That's why I left it empty. Is multiple false, order 1, color blue, and these should be one of these, like for example orange, and the color goes on the results. So once I show the results, I'm gonna switch it back to blue. I have like a little flag for this show results true. just so I can show you that whenever the user submits the answers, he will be able to see the results. Like for example, these many people voted for I don't care for creating SaasRock packages by module. But this flag should be in a different logic, of course, like whether the user has already voted or not, or maybe with a flag like results flag, so any user can actually go there, or a button to enable the show the results. But you get the idea. Yeah, there are only two different types of survey items, which is multiple and single. And you can have this other field when where the user can type an actual suggestion that is not on the options. And I think that's it. Also, there's a link, optional link for each of the items if the user wants to know more about the context of the survey item. Yeah, that's it. Well, maybe what if I have two surveys? I haven't thought of this problem, but let's add survey number 2 and slug items empty. I just want to try it out. Well, it's enabled to true. I think it will put it at the bottom. Yeah, we shouldn't have this. So maybe the roadmap should be like the, or it shouldn't be called roadmap, but surveys. Or have like a hard-coded survey on the roadmap, which is going to be this one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that instead of rendering multiple surveys. And you can handle the surveys whatever you like. So the first thing that I'm going to do is share this as a gist, and I'm gonna put it on the description so you can have like the basic structure for this roadmap, survey, surveys, TSX, and yeah, I'm gonna put this in the video at the end of, so you can follow the video and do it on your own. Now, where should we manage this? I think on help desk. So I'm gonna go to the admin sidebar and search for help desk. I'm sorry, it's not actually here. It's on the help desk route, because here it renders the sub items, and you can see here we have the feedback route. So I'm gonna put it below the feedback. So right here, survey, surveys, surveys. Now we need that file under the help desk folder. So I'm gonna look for feedback, and maybe a full folder for that, like this. And the default is an index, of course, and we can have our loader data here, and we know it's gonna be some items, and we are gonna export the loader, and we're gonna define the loader data and put the items here as empty and return a JSON. And we're gonna export this, fix these loader arcs, function arcs. And we have the component export default function surveys, and here's our default component. But I always use this edit page layout, which just gives you like a layout with a title, and I'm gonna put it here, surveys. Now we need a table, and the items will be of type from the data items, and we need to define that data from use type loader data from this interface or type, and we need to define the headers, and we're going to put the survey name or title or survey, and the title for that is going to be with the first character in uppercase, and the value is going to be the title. Now, we don't actually have a type for that. We need to create the schema, but I'm just going to put it like here, like this. Server 1, server 2, and see how it looks. So I'm going to click surveys, and I think it's still compiling. Yeah, so we have 2 surveys. Now, what can we do in this page? We have these prop buttons where I can add like the button primary to go to the new route, and we can actually have like a side panel to create a survey or have a full page dedicated for the survey. And I think I like the full page for that. So I'm gonna redirect to the new route, and we need to import these translations because I like to internationalize my applications. Now, we of course need that new route. So we're gonna copy paste this, and on the item, I'm just gonna leave this placeholder, and we're gonna return an item, and if the item doesn't exist, we're gonna return a redirect to admin of this surveys. Yeah. Just let me see the redirect is correctly imported from Remix Run. Yeah. So on these, we're gonna use the title for this, and we don't need this new button here. And we're gonna use here a survey form component that we are gonna later create form. Actually, right now. So whenever I add a new feature, I like to modularize my features. So I'm gonna go to the modules folder and create a surveys module, and create 3 folders, which is the TTOs, the database calls, and some components. And I always need some basic utils. And sometimes I add a services folder to add logic instead of having it on the loaders, but I think that's okay. Oops, I lost the folder. So on surveys, where is it? I'm gonna add the DTOs right here, survey DTOs. I can create one file for each one of the DTOs, but let's see how this works. I'm gonna go back to the roadmap where I have my DTOs and export them there. And I'm actually kind of distracting myself with these DTOs, but I'm just gonna quickly export this. Export and survey results. I also need this. I just wanted to show you how I create the new module, the new features module folder structure. Now I'm going to import all the missing imports, which are the DTOs. And going back to what I was doing is create the survey form component. So on the service components, I'm going to create this component, export default function, and the interface of this component is going to be, it can receive an item with an actual survey or null, and if it's null, it's going to create one. That's how I usually create my forms for creating data. And here I'm actually going to grab a form, remix form with a method post, and right off the bat I'm gonna type a hidden field with the action name, which is gonna be if the item is defined, it's gonna be create, otherwise it's gonna be edit. And I always like to put this read only and hidden, even though this input type is already set. React sometimes complains. Hopefully on React 19 is gonna be fixed. But anyway, so I'm gonna put this here, a quick input text for the title, and title, default item title. So this is going to be an uncontrolled state with a default value, and it's required. And at the end, we're going to have a button, justified end, to save. Button primary or loading button to have the spinner when it's loading. Loading button. And here, well, it depends. If item exists, we're gonna set save. Otherwise, we're gonna say create, and we need to import this from use translation. And we're gonna use this form here. So let's import it and define item to null, so it knows that it needs to create one. So let's test that route. Okay. Now for creating actual data or editing, I like to use this other layout, new page layout. Yeah, I know I'm gonna use the same for actually editing the form, the survey, but this is like tighter and it's centered, and we need a little bit of padding on the survey form button. So we can grab all of the components inside a div, so we can have some spacing. Well, but maybe the general spacing is going to be 1, like for slug. Well, the slug should be automatically defined. I'm not sure. Maybe it cannot be a default value for the slug. The slug needs to be controlled. Let me show you why. Set slug. Whenever the title changes, yeah, so the title also needs to be controlled. Set value, set title. So whenever the title changes, and this can happen on the onBlur, we can set the slug to have this function, your utils slugify the title. And yeah, we need to control those inputs with title, and the slug can be, I mean, what am I doing? This is use state. If item, put the title, otherwise empty, and then if item, put the title. Well, you can either do this or just define like a state object. So have it like if the slug, where, well, we don't have the slug defined on this mocked interface, but I'm just gonna put it like here, like this, and use, well, the bad thing that with this is that now for the actual change of the values is gonna be a little bit trickier like this, but I think that's fine. So we're gonna define this new set state with this slugify the title. Now do the same for the slug. And why is this complaining? This needs to be to string. And yeah, let's test this. So whenever we type the title and go outside from it, it sets the slug, but we also can update it. And this is gonna be required. So we can add like a breadcrumb to go back to the service, even though we have this sidebar, but I want to show you how I do that. Here on menu, you can define these quick objects with title, service, and go back to the route. And let's see, service. And you can add like another one for the new, so the user knows where is where are they, without an actual route path. So we can go back like this. Okay, so I think it's time to create the actual schema. So I'm gonna stop the server, go to my Prisma file, and start creating the survey model and ID, create add, update add. And if you're gonna add this to your tenants as well, or portals, like in a survey builder SaaS, using B2B portals, I'm just gonna define tenant ID in case you need it. By default, the admin service is gonna be tenant null. And you can also have created by user ID and other stuff, but I'm just gonna keep it simple and go property by property. So title, slug, description. So title, required, slug, required, and description, not required. So this is nullable, and is enabled. And I like to define like some defaults, like this starts as true, but yeah, I don't see this as necessary. Now I'm gonna move this to top. Now for the items, this is gonna be a one-to-many relationship. So we need the same thing, but now with items, survey item. And the model for the survey item is gonna be referencing the survey ID, having the title, yeah, and then the description. I'm gonna remove all the other ones. Description is nullable, is multiple, is required. But this could be actually from a type, like a survey item type. So instead of having like this is multiple, we can have like type, and it can be single, multiple, or text. But right now I'm just gonna support single or multiple. And yeah, I'm gonna fix wherever I call is multiple and replace all is multiple false to type single, and all the is multiple to true to type multiple. And let's see, if item is multiple, no, if type is multiple. So instead of using is multiple, I'm just gonna have this is multiple, and this renders checkboxes, otherwise radius, but I should add this type is single, otherwise render null, so we can add more types in the future. And yeah, now let's add this type here instead of is multiple, and this is required. Now the order can be this is tricky because ordering is not really easy. Like, let me show you. If I go to knowledge base and go to my articles, what is happening? My Wi-Fi is not connected, so forget about that. I just need to have like buttons to order items. I need to not forget that. So yeah, order is gonna be required. It can be default to 0, but I'm just gonna leave it like that to remember that I need to set it. Now categories, since it's a string and I want to still support SQLite, I'm just gonna set categories as JSON. And if you're using SQLite, you can have it like as a string. And whenever you want to create categories, you stringify the array, and when you need to use the categories string, you parse it with JSON.parse. But I'm using Postgres, so I'm just gonna use JSON. Now we have an ahref optional, which is this link, optional links. that gives context. And what else? The color is also optional. And the options can be like a JSON instead of having like another Prisma model, like one-to-many. So yeah, I'm gonna put options like as a JSON instead of, like, you see, it suggested me to create a survey item option, but this is harder to maintain when you're building like quickly. Now, what else do we need? I think that's it. Survey item. Yeah, now we need some models to the result. So we're not gonna listen to these types because here I just have like a simple interface to set like what SaasRock edition are you using, and the values from this is since it's single, it can be or enterprise. So this is just like a helper type. But when the user actually submits the survey, we need another model called survey submission, I think. And here we're gonna reference the survey. So I need to add these submissions. Is it called submission? Survey result? Yeah, I think submission is correct because it's the action of the user submitting a survey. And we need to add on the tenant as well. So here, I'm gonna add surveys. And yeah, going back to survey submission, we need, we don't have the user because this can be an anonymous user. What we need is to store unique submissions. So that can be achieved in two ways. One is using the user analytics cookie, which is used for like the session, whether it's using light mode or dark mode or the language of the user and the user session, and the IP address. So user analytics ID. As you can see, I use this property on knowledge base views to track how many unique knowledge base views I have on one article. And the other one is IP address. I don't know how compliant this is. You can remove it if you don't want to store IP addresses. You can just use the user analytics ID and then have the actual results. So for the results, I think for the results, we need an actual model for this. And these, we can either do it referencing the item, but what if you change the survey? Like every time you update survey items, if it's on cascade delete, it's gonna delete all the submission results. So instead, I'm just gonna type store the title of the original item. So you can save the survey over and over again and have the submission results on your database still. So here, I'm actually gonna call it survey item title, so I know I'm referencing that title. Now we need the values, and for this, what if the user submits multiple items? Like, let me go back to the server just so I can show you on the roadmap. What I'm thinking is this can either contain one value, like this, enterprise, or multiple values, like enterprise and core. And I'm thinking, what happens when I want to add, when I want to graph, graph my data like this? I think I will need to construct it manually. Um, survey item title, survey item type. I think I also need to save this because this can be single or multiple. So I think here I need to store a JSON field. So it's an array. And even though if it's single, well, maybe if it's single, just put the string. If it's multiple, put the array. Yeah, I think that's the better approach, and just manually construct the charts. So what else? I'm gonna go to survey details and see. Okay, so the result, if the user put like another result, we need to store that. But I'm thinking, should this be stored also here? Like if it's other, should it be here, or the values should be tied or coupled to the options? I'm not sure, so I'm just gonna keep this other field in case I need it. And yeah, the results and percentage and count, we can manually construct this with this actual model. And I think that's it. We have the title, the votes here, and the other if it's if it has a value. Yeah, I think I like my model. So npx prisma db push, and this is using localhost. Okay, so I'm just gonna start the server because I don't think I'm gonna do any more changes right now. Now for my surveys form, I'm gonna use the actual survey object, but I need a survey with the items. So I need a survey with details. So I can define this DTO on the database. And since I'm gonna create a surveys DB server file, I can add it here, export type, and this is gonna be of type survey from Prisma, and with the items of survey item, which also comes from the database. So here we can export async function get all surveys, and I can do the pagination right here or do it later. Yeah, I think later. And for the props, I'm gonna receive a tenant, which can be string or null. And this can be used on the tenants if you want to create a survey SaaS for your tenants. Now we need to export from the database survey find any and include the items. Yeah, I think I like this, and we're gonna use this function. Also, well, first on the survey form, I'm gonna import this new type, and then go to surveys new. No, on the index of the surveys, and replace this fake interface survey with details. And instead of having this fake data, I'm actually going to call the database with this get all surveys with the tenant ID to null. And I later want to copy paste this into a portal or a tenant. So instead of having this hard coded, I can grab the tenant ID from the tenant ID or null, and it's need to pass the request and params. So what this function does is, if the current path is admin is null, but if it's on app, it's gonna grab from the params the tenant that is logged in. So we also need these params from the loader function args, so we can actually use this tenant ID. Now let's test this and go to surveys. Yeah, so we want to add the new functionality. So here, we don't actually need the item. Yeah, this was for the new, I mean for the edit route. So we're gonna comment this, and put this here, new survey. Yeah. And let's try it. Well, I don't like this spacing issue, so we're gonna add some margin or padding. Yeah, it's padding, and we have an issue here because we need add to string as well. Okay, so we need to add the arrays of each survey item, but I'm thinking I don't want to build it from scratch. So I'm gonna grab from one of my projects, which is early B, and I think where is it? Where it's multiple. Well, I can see it right here. If I go to my app, and if I create a landing page and do it blank, for galleries, I have this component that adds multiple, and this could be the one for survey items. Let me see, for social links, and we have this button to delete the survey items. Yeah, I think I'm gonna look for this component. So gallery list, and yeah, this has a hidden component for the gallery items. So I think I need this on my components. Instead of gallery list, I'm gonna put it like survey item list, items list. Galleries list is not like that. So we need to define, I'm just gonna fix all of this. We don't need this image icon or video icon. So what is going to be the item? We can use the DTO, I guess, but we don't want the type script errors. So I'm just gonna do it manually. So we have title, the description, string or null, the type, string. Well, let me think. On the survey DTOs, I already have the survey item, which I can reuse. Yeah, I think it's better if I reuse this instead of manually fixing it in the future in case I add more properties to the survey item. So here, I'm not sure if I should render the hidden input controller component, I mean, or have it controlled on the parent. Yeah, I think it's better if I set it here. So items, it's gonna be stored, stringifying the items. Now we need to import this input select, and this I'm gonna leave it like this. We need the first one is gonna be single. The name is gonna be single. Is it called single? Single select. Single select. And this one is gonna be called multi-select. But this doesn't match my multiple, so it's gonna be multiple. Or I can use multi-select and single select and fix my roadmap. So if it's single, I'm just gonna replace it with single select, and if it's multiple, I'm gonna replace it with multi select. And going back, save this, and also here. Now What else do we need to save? The title is the most important thing. So title, and title. And what else? Well, I guess for every property we need to define it. We need the description as well, and the order. But this is my point. Ordering this is gonna be a little bit difficult. Well, I'm just gonna leave it like this without order, and the orders is gonna be in the order of creation. Now for categories, I think I can add input multi-text. And for this, I'm gonna reference another project, which is datalang, because here I have this component to show you, datalang app is assistant, the datalang assistant. So on settings, I can have these multiple values, and when I click enter, it fixes it. So I'm just gonna reuse this. Visible in URLs, whatever this is using, it's using input multiple text, and I don't think I have this component on the SaasRock core. I think I'm gonna add it later. Let me see. Going back to SaasRock, yeah, I don't have this component. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is copy paste this component on SaasRock dev. This right next to input text. So let's see if it doesn't have an error. Yeah. So add this component and submit it. Git push origin name, so I can stop my SaasRock server and pull from that. This is the way you pull changes from the latest SaasRock releases. Well, I have this dev that is before I release the actual release. Let me see if I have any stage changes. Yeah, it's only that component, so I can now use it, multiple text. And I'm just gonna use it the same way I use it on here, input multiple text. And since if you want to use it, I'm just gonna create a gist new and add this component as well. Create secret gist. Okay. And what else? I can close now this project and SaasRock dev and RLDB and just keep on this project. Now for the, well, I was going to check how I use this input multiple text. Yeah, we need the title. And the title is going to be categories. And this is going to be stored in like this. And the value comes from yeah, I think from the state itself. Item categories because is of string or undefined. So, or empty. And whenever it's on change, we're gonna update it. And the separator for the categories is gonna be, can be enter or comma. I think it's better with comma. And why is it complaining? Oh, because we need the button to create a new survey item. So what is going to be the default for this? I think single items. So title empty, description empty, type single select, and no options. Well, maybe one option. Option one, and no icon. I'm not actually using icons. And remove this image icon and here put add item. just put it like this, shared add. Okay, so start the server. And we need to import this on the survey form and put it somewhere. I think here it's fine. And what do we need? We need the items which come from the state items. And here we can use the survey DTO as well, I think, for the type survey DTO. So we can have this TypeScript checks. Now we can grab it from the item or new date or empty string is enabled to true, survey items empty, and we don't need the results. Why is it complaining? We need the, okay, so this needs to be mapped to the items, and for that I'm just gonna create a utils function, survey utils, export function, survey item, survey to DTO. I think it's better. Survey to DTO. And instead of exporting, I can export a default with that function. And we are gonna receive a survey with details. So we're gonna return survey DTO. And here, we're gonna do the same thing that I was doing here. And instead of using item, I'm just gonna put it like item. And we can now map the items. So this can be a separate object, survey item DTO. And for each one of these, survey item, return that survey item, and here fill it with that object. So do it one by one. Title, description, or empty, because this cannot be null. The type, since this is single select or multi-select, I'm just gonna put it like this: item type as any, or as survey item type, and then the order, and if it's undefined, because this can be null, no, it cannot be null. Yeah, like that. And then the categories, and here, if I remember correctly, categories is a JSON field, so I'm gonna use item categories as string. Yeah, I don't need to parse it if I'm not using SQLite. And categories, and what else? href, I mean, and this can be undefined, not null. And then the color, and then the options. And the options is possibly null. Yeah. So as any, it cannot be null. So option, I'm just gonna put it like as any, because this is like a manual parsing. Yeah, and I'm gonna use this function right here. If it's existing survey utils, survey to DTO, otherwise an empty survey. New, well, we don't need anything. Description, and is enabled, true, and the created add. And so now we can have this on change set state and update the actual survey items. So let's test it. But add what? Let me see how I add it. I do it in early B. It was called gallery list. Gallery list. Okay, so it's grabbed under simple div. And here I'm gonna put items. And yeah, that was it. But here I don't like this spacing, so maybe less spacing. And maybe for the item, for the title and slug, have it on under the same row. Let's justify. I mean, space x2 items center, and this one is half the space. And now we have the items, which should be extra small. Yeah, add. Okay, so we can find the single select. So for that, single select and multi select. And what else? I saw the categories being on one column, so we can add multiple categories, and this needs to be controlled. Not sure why this is happening. For now, I'm just gonna comment this component. I'm just gonna focus on the functionality of the title, the description, which is optional, and some other like input check. Let me think. Yeah, whether it's an other option. And this custom value, how is it called on a survey item when the user can add multiple, I mean a custom value. Custom value. I'm not sure. Other is where is it? Is other, but this comes from the survey item DTO. Is other. Oh, so this is on the options, and we don't have an array for the options on this specific item. So we need to do the same thing for items that we did with items, but for item options. Okay. So I'm gonna duplicate this. Survey items options. Item options. And here it receives a survey item options. And what is it? Title, link, is other, and icon. I'm just gonna add right now title, link, and whether it's other or not. Yeah. So same thing. And options. And we don't need the actual input here. See? Because it is on the item itself. Now we need to find, we don't need select here, we just need the title and the description. Description doesn't exist. Yeah, not the description, the link, which is on the link property, apparently. And whether it's object, other or not. Input check with description, name is other. This I think should be a boolean. And what else do we need here? Yeah, the description. Custom user and enter a custom value. Custom value instead of other. And for adding, we're gonna set an empty link, an empty title, and is other to false. So we now can actually use this below the description and call it options. And call it like this. And let's try it. For the options, more spacing, space 1. And this is the option number 1. I don't like this, so this should be with a call span of 12 as well as the other ones. Custom value. Now we can have this on the same row, title and the ahref. Yeah. So let me try and replicate this. So the survey, well, let's add the survey description. And this is going to be a full row. Input, text, description, title, description, in value or empty. And let me copy paste this and add the first one. Title, first one, description. This doesn't have a description, so I'm just gonna say, what edition are you using? And the options are enterprise and or. This doesn't use any link. This is not a custom value. And or starter. And I'm just looking. And yeah, now we need to implement the actual saving of the survey with all the items. But I think I also need to implement like add option here on the survey item options list. Instead of having like this add, I'm gonna set add option and add item on the items list. So instead of add item, add survey item. And this should be collapsible, I think. I'm not sure. And I have a component for that, but I don't want to complicate this. I just want to have my page visible here on the database and submit something. So let's go to the new route and implement the action here. Export let action. And this should be action function args. And I need to get the form from the request and get the action from the form. And if the action is create, I'm gonna receive, what should I receive? Value, I think, instead of the whole DTO. or I can update the whole DTO. That's another option, and I think that's faster. So survey, yeah, but validation is gonna be complicated. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it like this. Instead of a try and catch, return the error if it contained an error, and then on the survey form here, we can render the whole item and put the whole state. And instead of date is item. So if this should be of type survey DTO, if item title or item slug or yeah, title and slug are required. Else, if items doesn't have any item, throw this error. And I think I can actually reuse this code for the edit as well, because we're gonna implement edit as well for in another route. But just keep it simple like here. So I'm gonna call create survey, and here I'm gonna go to my service DB server and export an async function to create a survey with a survey DTO or field by field. I'm not sure. Item, I think field by field is better. So we have this data that matches our Prisma schema. So the first thing is tenant ID, the title, slug, description can be null, is enabled, and then the items, which can contain title, description, type, order, categories, href, color, and then the options. So yeah, and I'm gonna do it one by one, because I don't like to push the whole object to database. We don't need to create many for the options, because the options are actually actually a JSON field. So I'm just gonna stringify that options, or just put it like that. I don't think I need to stringify it. Yeah, and similar to the categories. So let's try it. Create survey with this item. And instead of redirecting to the edit route or the overview for the recently created item, I think I'm just gonna redirect the home route. Okay, tenant ID is missing, so we can add this item, but define the tenant ID to whatever the tenant ID is from. Wait, get tenant ID or null from requests and characters. But that's not the only thing. We need description is not compatible. So yeah, I think I need to manually add it like this. And I think that's for the best. So you can granularly control every new property that you add to your survey builder. Now for the items, we're gonna map item, title, description, type, order, categories, href, color, then the options, and let's see, why is it complaining? Multi-select, no. Types of property, order is not compatible. So order can be undefined. So instead of storing the order from the object, I'm just gonna put it how it came. Order +1. And what else? Categories is not compatible. So if categories is not defined, put it empty. And this is gonna be the string. No. Why is it complaining? Options is not compatible because is other is should be false instead of undefined. So let's try again. And put the description here and add some items. Title, edition, then enterprise, and add another one for 4. And I'm just gonna test the custom value, other. And let's try it, create. Okay, you define an action, but I don't think I returned the redirect. Okay, so I did, but there was an error. So let me see where was the error. Let's see if the survey was created. No, it was not. So at the end of the action, I'm just gonna return invalid action and just try it like this. Okay, so we need to render the error. So we need the action data. Use type action data from, well, you can define an action data type or just have it like, it can be success of type string or error, and use a use effect to toast it. Toast from React code does, and this should render the action data success, else this can be null. So, and this should listen to the action data object. So let's try it. Invalid action. Okay, so why is that? We have our form here and we define the action to be, okay, so I have this backwards. If it's not defined, it should be the action name create. So one more time. And then, or then a custom value. Let's see. Okay, so now it works. Let's implement the roadmap for that specific slug. So I'm just gonna, I can either, what should I do? I think I'm just gonna leave this as is, like without using the database, and work on another route where it actually grabs the slug of the roadmap survey, or this should maybe be called surveys or survey. And here I can delete the DTOs and have it like the survey item, and grab the actual item from get survey by slug, and this comes from the slug, and we need to add this function on service.server export async function get survey by slug, but maybe also the tenant. So it's kind of protected. And I'm gonna define a promise that returns a survey with details. The same for this, instead of in case I want to extend it on the future. So we can add this function here, export it, but the item is a survey with details. We need to actually have a survey detail. So instead of returning the item like this, item, survey item, utils, survey utils, I mean, survey to DTO. Why is it complaining? Oh, so if it's not defined, we're gonna return an error, survey not found, with that status. And the slug cannot be request params. Oh, so it's like this. Tenant ID, we know here it's no, so that's no problem. And then the slug. And what else? Instead of having like the roadmap title here, put the actual item title. And then on the description, do the same thing. And this is for the meta tags for SEO purposes. So do the same for the description. And we don't have an image for surveys, so I'm just gonna comment that. Okay, so this should be item instead of surveys. I think that's it. It should work, but my component used an array to grab the survey groups. So instead, I'm gonna put the actual survey from the data. Let's see. We don't need the heading block anymore, I think. Or we can put here the item title, data item slug, I mean description. Let's see how it looks. I'm gonna go to this slug, so maybe add a link to that, surveys index. So here, have it as a link that goes to the surveys and the slug, and have it underlined on hover. Page not found, because it should be survey, not surveys. Okay, so it works. So before I end the video, just a quick update to the item. So I'm just gonna duplicate the new route and put it like as edit, and here we need an actual item as survey with details. It cannot be null, so we need to grab the item from database, get survey, and this is not gonna be by slug, so we need another one that is by ID. So slug, change it to ID, by ID, tenant ID from tenant ID or null, and the ID comes from this shouldn't be called edit, it should be called ID. And if it doesn't exist, redirect, otherwise return the item. And we're gonna remove this, I'll change it to edit. And instead of having create survey, update survey, and update this ID. So we need this function. on the service DB server, create survey. I'm just gonna duplicate it and have the ID. And whenever you have like this should be undefinable like this. So we know that when updating the survey, we're also updating the whole object. So we need a little bit of well, what is happening? It's not a sign. Oh, because it's update where ID, and here, since items is updating the whole object, I need to do it like this. This is not undefinable, and we need to delete all the previous items. This is not the best way to do it, but it's the quickest way to do it. And I think that's it. We also need, instead of having edit, new survey is edit survey. And instead of having like new, we can have this, that item title, and pass the item title, the item, to the survey form and test it. Admin help desk surveys, and we need an edit button to this table. So surveys index. I can add it as another header or as an action. This is a title edit, and the route is gonna be the ID. Edit. And if I want this all the way to the right, I can have this class name with full. Now let's try and add another option like the one we have on our fake roadmap. And that's it. Let's see if it works. Refresh here. Yeah, it works. Okay, so I'm gonna release this tomorrow. So if you're curious, go to SaasRock.com and go to roadmap, because I'm gonna deploy whatever all that you saw in this video, so you can vote on this new page. Currently is the GitHub issues, but you can vote whether SaasRock should use Prisma or Drizzle, and then the framework if you want another framework on the feature, or stick with Remix, which I prefer. Having the Prisma schema separated into multiple folders, and on every major feature of SaasRock have like what is the current state and where do you want it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more videos like this of me coding features from scratch, let me know, and I surely will do, because I'm not sure if I should sacrifice feature building or video making, if you know what I mean. But thanks for watching.